everyone. Welcome back to all of us, everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, all these fine gentlemen that I call my brothers sitting right in another room over a Zoom. But that's just it's not because of the COVID anymore. It's because we're all in different places. Although some of us are still in LA. Anyway, I am Daniel Villalobos. This is the Escape Pod, powered by The Way We Nerd. And the reason we're doing this is because there's so much Star Wars to talk about, but we're going to focus on one show. All right, I'm going to introduce everybody in order. So right next to me, Joshua Potter. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Kyle McKay, how's fatherhood?
So far, so good. Did I tell you all that number two is coming later this year?
You told
Yeah.
me. I don't know if I
Okay,
did,
cool.
guys.
I
Congrats.
didn't know that.
exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Mazel tov.
And I know I can tell you this, Kyle. Everybody in our generation has pretty much stopped it too.
Yeah, I don't
not,
think we're
not that kids
we'll
aren't
see,
wonderful.
but yeah.
Not that kids aren't wonderful, but well, my brother was a surprise. I don't know if I ever told you guys that, and I mentioned that in his in my best man speech at his wedding. Russell Fung, what's up, brother?
Hey, brother. Hey, brothers.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
I think you're the only one of us lucky enough to go to Comic-Con this year. I don't think any of us are going except for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the all H lineup thing again because Marvel Studios is gonna be there Saturday night, and I want to be there for that.
Sweet.
But they're going to announce the Russo brothers as the new directors.
Maybe.
Mr. John Hudsonis Prime, what's up? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing excellent, man. How about you?
Well, I've heard some wonderful things about where you live in Utah. I'm hearing from my team leader that that's where you want to buy real estate right now. That's the hot spot. I don't know why, but it is.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Did John freeze?
That was a great
on,
moment to freeze on.
John, if you can hear us, you're frozen, buddy.
And I screenshot that.
Good. Well,
I would say just keep it rolling. Just keep it rolling.
We'll keep it rolling. We'll wait till John comes back. I'm sure he'll figure it out in a sec.
Oh, he's moving now.
Hello. Hello.
There
Hey,
you
you
are.
see me, my back.
You're back. You're back. So yeah. So what do you? Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Wait. Everybody do John's face right now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Modern technology at its finest. But anyway,
Right.
yeah, Utah's the hot spot, John. But I think it's because you're there.
No, stop. You're going to give me the diabetes over here. Come on now.
I didn't know you moved. That's how well, I guess we're on the pod, so I don't need to ask how that came about, but we can discuss that another time.
It's
We
a
can.
long story.
It's a long story, but he's got a cool job over there, and his lovely wife gets to work remotely. So, hi Taylor.
Nice.
So, all right. Anyway, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna start. I'm just gonna go really quick to each one of you. Don't get into details or anything. Just let me know. One or two sentences, thumbs up, thumbs down. The Acolyte, Josh Potter.
Didn't hate it. Didn't
Okay.
love it.
Okay.
That's about it. Yeah.
So it's mid for you.
Mid. Okay. Oh, that's the thing.
Oh,
Kids say
God.
today. Yeah, that's true. Kids say that today.
I'm gonna be a crusty old grandpa right now and say I hate the term mid so much. And it's probably just because I'm old and out of touch now. But
I always knew Potter was going to turn out to be a get off my lawn kind of guy.
yeah,
So,
I'm moving the way of
anyway.
Clint Eastwood. It's fine.
Kyle McKay, knee bound. What about you, brother? How are you feeling about the Acolyte?
It's aggressively mid is what I would say. There's like there are highs that are pretty high and there are lows that are very low. But overall, it's just kind of it's there. It exists like so
Okay.
much of Star Wars post Disney.
It is there. It does exist, no matter how people want to wish it out of existence.
I mean, that's the thing. Okay, you know what? Next person.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Kyle. Don't worry.
Let's
We're
be
gonna let
quick.
you get.
Yeah.
We're gonna let
No,
you
it's all
get.
good.
Russell Fung, Jedi Master Fung. What you think?
I liked it. It was good.
Okay.
It did everything I needed it to and wanted it to.
Yeah, you did say in the group chat that it did the three things you wanted. I'm looking forward to hearing those three.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
but we'll get into that. Mr. Hudson, what about you, brother?
I'm on the mid train. Basically, I thought, like I said, middle of the road. There was some stuff I liked. There was some stuff that I hated. But my big problem with it comes down to one thing, that I do not feel that the decisions this character made were motivated enough based on what I saw on the screen, or even lazily given to me in like a dialogue, salad at some point. So
I
that'd be
yeah,
my big thing about it. But
I think I'm probably going to agree with you, John. I think because like you said, choices, and we're going to get into it, but like that but that comes to like, okay, for me now. You guys know that I fall in, like, my friend Christian Harloff has this thing where he says there's a I hate everything crew, and then there's the regarding Star Wars, I hate the everything crew, and then there's like everything is awesome, from a Lego movie, and he kind of puts me in that category that everything is awesome, even though I don't think everything is awesome. That too. Trust me. Yep. I know. Well, you say that, but how many times have I complained about Last Jedi? Come on now.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, I will just say this: like, I was so ridiculously disappointed in this show because I was so looking forward to everything that it was going to be about. The way it was pitched, and I'll get deeper into it, was a story about the Sith, like from the Sith point of view. In no way did we get that. In no way. And I have absolutely feeling I know who to blame, and I don't think it's the creator, Leslie Headland. First of all, I'm going to ask you this, guys, and we're going to get deep. Did any of you watch? Is it Russian Doll? Is that the show that she did that was critically acclaimed?
Yeah, Russian Doll. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but I heard
it's a great show. It's a great show. Yeah.
So obviously the woman is a talented writer, and from what I understand, the way she did her room is like she got half like big Star Wars fans, and then half like, or was that Andor that did that, where they got half big Star Wars fans and half good writers but didn't know Star Wars?
Andor, I think they got a bunch of like former showrunners, like Bo Willimon, who did the first few seasons of like House of Cards. House of Cards. He ran that show, I think. So I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I will say this. I know I've had my reservations on Andor too. Not that I didn't think it was a great show. I just got bored, but probably because of things that Hudson had talked about recently about how like the Andor was just didn't have enough pew 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 for us. But I will admit that is by far probably the best written show of Star Wars. With the exception of maybe the Ewok Adventure, the TV movie back in the 80s.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Blasphemy.
Okay. Battle for Endor was still pretty good. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So back to the Acolyte. So my biggest issue with the Acolyte, and I want to get to each one of you. We'll go not episode by episode, but we'll kind of go by chunk. Yeah. But I just think that this show was very, I don't want to say poorly written. It was just scatter written.
It was. Yep.
It felt like Leslie and her team had a certain way they wanted to go, but somebody with a hat that we all used to love, and maybe we still do, kind of like stuck his fingers in there maybe too much and said, no, that's not Star Wars enough. You got to do this. You got to do this. Because I wanted that Sith show, and we did not get it. Like, to me, my biggest problem with the show is the main focus was the most boring part of the story. The twins, or whatever they are, since they turned out to be one person, that was the wrong people to follow. It should have been Jackie, Soul, and Chimere. Am I saying his name right? Chimere. Yeah, Darth Thirst Trap, as Darth calls him.
We'll go through all the Darth names in a moment. It's great.
Yeah, we'll get for sure. Because he, for me, was the best part of the show. Soul, like, the acting was good. Like, the acting for the most part was good, except for that green chick. But we'll get into that too. Because from what I understand, she is a fine actress outside of Star Wars. But
she's Rebecca.
Miranda, is that her name?
Miranda, is that what you said?
No, the green lady is the wife of Leslie Headland. That's the showrunner's wife.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, the green girl, Vernestra.
That's what it is, not Miranda.
Well, and she's in the New Republic novels. I think she's the only one that's in the New Republic novels, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Other than Yoda, obviously.
Yeah, other than Yoda. And, Oh, don't even get me started on that stupid cameo at the end. We'll get to that later. But
so
how much I love Yoda.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying so far, Dan. That this was sold as sort of this really want to explore the Sith point of view, which I think the response that was tuned in for season 2. Like, it seems very much like that's what, if there is a season 2, that's what it will be. This felt a lot like House of the Dragon season 1, where it was sort of like all prequel. The show did really starts like at the end of the first season. It sort of ends on this moment, not counting the cameos and some of that stuff, where it's like, okay, now we're sort of going off to do the Sith point of view and to jump into some of that.
Yeah, but isn't that dangerous? Because you don't even know if you're going to get a season 2. I don't know if they are, but we'll get to that too. Well, I want to know all your guys' opinions, but we'll get to that too. Whether you think there will be one and whether you think there should be one. So that's because that's two different questions. Two different questions.
Do you remember the beginning, the announcement back in 2019, 2020? No,
so long ago. It was so long.
Felt so long ago.
Yeah. Had the presentation, and when Kathleen Kennedy was on stage, she announced the Acolyte, and she says the Acolyte. It's the story of the dark side, like the origins of the dark side, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was a show that was promised, or what the premise was announced at that presentation.
Yeah. And they didn't even go that far. I thought they were going to go like 1,000 years back, and they went 100.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it always going to be set in the High Republic, or did they tack that on later?
That must have been later.
I don't remember.
But I don't High Republic. It was always going to be, because that was when it was announced. It was during that time they were hyping up the.
Okay.
Because remember there was a time when oh my God, who's the director? Not David Ayer. Oh my God. Oh no, Logan director. Indiana Jones director. Why am I forgetting his name?
James Mangold.
Yeah.
He was supposed to do the Knights of the Old Republic era, which is like 4,000 years ago, right, Potter?
Sure, yeah, something like that. And then Taika was attached to do something way
like the origins of the Force.
Yeah.
Supposedly that one's still going.
Yeah, I thought originally this one was going to be further back, like 400 years ago.
That's what I thought too.
Not 130 or so.
Yeah.
All right, John,
it's just like it reeks of like there was a great idea there, and then the studio, whether that's Kennedy, the Lucasfilm Story Group,
Filoni,
the man with the hats, Filoni, somebody, or just the ideas she was doing, something just didn't coalesce about this up to this point, or they were just figuring it out the whole time. I don't know.
You're not. I don't think you're wrong, Kyle, because I have heard that from a very close source who knows the writer of The Acolyte, who's also a writer on House of the Dragon. So I'm not gonna say the name of it.
No, you don't have to name drop. It's okay.
You'll see that.
Yeah.
There's a producer on The Acolyte who you'll see the same name on House of the Dragon. So if you've been watching both shows, you'll see the same name pop up. And this person has said, like, at an event when we were asking her question. I mean, his or her, they them questions.
Go on.
This person was on the show and then walked away and said, like, you can see the eyes of in Leslie Headland's eyes, you can see her dreams. I forgot what
shattering.
Like dying, you can see the soul of her eyes like go away as production went along. Is because just based on hearing that, it tells me that Leslie Headland had a vision, had a direction, but along the way, stuff happens. So
I know, but what sucks is that she's taking the blame.
Yeah,
and that's not fair.
Yeah,
like Filoni and Kennedy need to step the fuck up. Forgive my language, but they need to step the fuck up. They can't let her go down like this, like it's her fault. Although somebody's pointed this out, and that I've heard on other podcasts that I don't think they think anything's wrong. They think that the show's getting review bombed by people who are upset at woke agendas. They can't blame it on that, because there's other people like all of us here that have issues with the show that have nothing to do with that. I mean, am I right, Hudson? Like, what do you think? Like, do you think they're leaning on that maybe a little too much?
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This ain't my internet is junk connection. So I've spent the last 5 minutes making weird faces in the camera, hopefully one of them gets caught on the video. Can you please tell me what was said in the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly?
Yeah. Well, pretty much
word for word.
We were discussing basically that Leslie Headland has taken the brunt of the criticism, but Russell has it from a good source when they were speaking at an event that produced on both shows that Leslie was getting the show basically taken away from her. and
Oh,
there was up interference by Kathleen Kennedy and the Man in the Hat. At least the
oh,
Man in the Hat.
I'd buy that in a heartbeat. I mean, like Disney is so guarded over Star Wars because it's such an investment, and obviously we all know what it means. And I don't need to fucking go on a diatribe about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I 110% believe that. But I think that the show in and of itself, um, I don't think it was, like I said, it was good. It had some good moments, but there were some choices that could have been made a little differently, both in the direction of what happened. I don't know if some executive stuck a thumb in somewhere and was just like, all right, well, that was a cool moment, but they're dying in the second act now, so fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Pardon my French, by the way. I don't know if we're trying
No,
to
it's okay.
make this with
We
kids or
can
not.
curse. I already blew that. I said the F word twice in like the span of like 10 seconds. So don't worry. We're
I
good.
will tell you,
Fuck yeah.
I will tell you succinctly the four things, the top things that took me out of it. I thought it was
Okay.
just going to be three, but it's four. Number one, the writing. I thought it was very scattered all over the place. That could be for various reasons. I don't want to point the fingers anywhere, but the writing, right?
Yeah.
The editing I thought was equally as bad because, and again, it's not necessarily the editor's fault. They probably did as much as they could to salvage what they had to work with. Again, variety of reasons, which we can get into more detail about. I have some thoughts on that. So writing, editing, the wipes, like transitions they took me out of every single moment, every single thing that happened. There's a wipe, and then it's like, whoa, that was really jarring and abrupt and not Star Wars. Like every time it happened, I thought, this isn't Star Wars. This isn't Star Wars. They're trying to do wipes because it's Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. So that was another thing. And then the shots themselves, the cinematography didn't feel like Star Wars. I mean, you take a look at everything that Lucas did in the originals, in the prequels, and even in the sequel trilogy, love them or hate them, the movements are all very much Star Wars. You don't have these weird drone shots or POV shots. I get that you're trying to do some experimental stuff, some fun stuff, whatever. I hate to say it, but that doesn't belong in Star Wars. It just doesn't. If you want to take people out of Star Wars immediately, you do that because it's just weird. It feels out of place, right?
Yeah.
Perfect example would be, I think it's the finale maybe, or the episode before, where you get a POV shot and it looks like a GoPro type shot from the point of view of the ship. It's like it's underneath the ship as it's spiraling down to the surface of the planet and stuff, and it just it looks so bad to me because it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels like they're trying to do The Expanse in Star Wars or something else, and I don't want that personally in Star Wars. If it worked for other people, that's great, more power to you, but for me, that took me out of it. So those are my four things: the writing, the editing, the wipes, and the cinematography.
All right. Well, this is how I think we're going to have the show go. For the first half, we're just going to keep talking about the negative stuff, and then we're going to end on high notes and talk about the good stuff in the second half. So, Potter, what I thought was interesting with you is that you attacked most of the technical part of it, which because they're I could agree with you for some of the things, but like when we talk about the good stuff, I'll get to what I thought was good later because there's some technical stuff I thought was done really well.
Oh, same.
But you also mentioned first the writing. I think that by far is the biggest issue. I even performance wise, like I liked pretty much everybody's performance with the few. I didn't like is it Yord?
Yord, yep.
I didn't like him in the beginning, but I started to like him right before he fucking died. Like I was like, okay, I'm kind of digging you now, and then they kill his ass. But but that's what I'm saying. Like, and one of the biggest mistakes I think, as far as the writing, the storytelling goes, and maybe you guys can agree with me on this or shoot me down. I would love it because the third episode, and is it the seventh? The one that like it's the one that's
3 and 7, or
3 and 7. They felt like this. They felt like the same episode, and I get what they're trying to do. Same episode, different perspectives. But I think it would have been better if those two were one episode, if they edited into one long episode or just the same length but just cut some shit out, because that didn't feel like Star Wars to me, Potter. Like friggin' Star Wars doesn't have flashbacks. Like very few, even in the new shows. Like they had that one little one with Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Clone War part, and that's fine. But that was the point. Like it's little flashbacks is fine, but to make a whole episode of flashback and showing us shit we already seen, but just from a different perspective, it just threw me out of it because they were so far apart. If you did them back to back, even I might have been okay with it.
I agree.
The only episode or the only show I think that's done it well, and we've talked about it before, is Andor. Andor technically had flashbacks, but they weren't shown as flashbacks, if that makes sense. They didn't feel like, oh well, okay, we're gonna flashback now, or we're gonna, they felt organic. Exactly, yeah. They felt organically crafted and built into the story. And I want to hear what Russell has to say. The other thing, just to speak to what you were saying, Dan, is I think with the writing, it was scattered. It was all over the place. But to me, you mentioned that the episode 3 and 7 should have been one long episode. I think this whole season should have been shorted by like 2 or 3 episodes, because the way it's written and what we saw, I don't think they had enough material to stretch out into as many episodes as we got based on what we saw. Maybe they did, and maybe Leslie's original vision had enough stuff to go, 8 episodes, right? 7 episodes, 8 episodes, whatever.
8.
Yeah. But the 8 episodes we got, again, it kind of like with Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett, which I enjoyed to certain extents. I felt like this should have been a 2 to 2.5 hour movie instead of a show based on what we got, So
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there. Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Kyle.
I feel like it's, and this has been happening with so many Star Wars shows. It was either too short or too long.
Yeah,
like when you talk about episode 3 and 7, the 2 Brendock episodes.
Yeah,
it felt like we either needed to spend more time there or spend less time there. Like, I think in order for certain choices, like, no, I just have to go back to Coruscant. I'm going on the speeder to the witch's lair, and some of that stuff just like it wasn't earned. It didn't make sense. Like you needed almost to see like why, still don't know why Soul is so obsessed with like the Virgins and the Force. And why, Prince Tommen just had to get off that planet, like there was just so much going on there.
I'm with you, man.
Wasn't explained and didn't exist. And then the Rashomon stuff just didn't really work. And it felt like I was expecting a lot more of a surprise when that second episode came along. Okay, so if they're not showing us all of this, like there's got to be something big. And it's like, well, no, there was a fire and Soul kills like one woman, and it's kind of unclear why everyone else dies, I guess because they broke the connection to the Wookiee. Like it just felt muddled at that point. Like it wasn't, and sorry, one more thing. And it wasn't entirely clear in either Brendock episode whose point of view it was. It wasn't Rashomon, because it wasn't, okay, here's May's point of view, here's Osha's point of view. It was like, okay, here's some stuff we're showing you, and now here's other stuff we're showing you.
It felt like a nothing burger. Like the Virgin stuff was like, here's this Virgins, and we all know what a Virgins is as Star Wars fans, but it was a nothing burger. It didn't matter. It wasn't, like Kyle said, it wasn't earned, in my opinion. I didn't care that it was a Virgins. Like it great, that doesn't kill Anakin's story for me, like a lot of people were complaining about. That doesn't bother me at all.
No, because
it wasn't earned. The story itself just went, that's how it felt anyway.
I want to dive more into this next thing. Do we lose Kyle? Are you still there, Kyle? You just lost video? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, just doing something really quick.
Hudson wanted to say something, right?
I was just saying we should all just be honest with ourselves and admit that we've been to Hollywood. We knew how it works. Some asshole was going down to print the final copy of the script and on the fucking elevator. They probably tripped. spilled everything on the fucking ground, hastily pulled everything back together, and then they didn't fucking have the fucking cojones to go back upstairs and fix it. So they sent it to print. They gave it to their bosses, and their bosses put it in circulation. And then they don't have the fucking cojones to admit that there's a mistake being made, so they just fucking ran with it. And so now we're over here where, like you guys said, I thought that was a brilliant solution. Just put 3 and 7 together, and I spent so much time in this series trying to give a shit when they're just trying to bat the ball around like I'm playing cat and mouse. And I'm like, just fucking give it to me straight.
History
Like,
was necessary.
Yeah, like I was cool with the story. I enjoyed it. The delivery of the story is where they fucked it up.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you made fetch out of nothing. And that drove me nuts. Like they were trying to make fetch happen by like drawing out episodes because I'm sure Disney held them to like an episode count. They're like, we have 6 episodes, sir. And it's like, oh, I need 8. And so it's like, okay.
That's not a bad Mickey.
Yeah, that was a good Mickey.
Should have been one.
But yeah, so it hit me on that one. What was I gonna get at? No, I don't know. Russell, you're gonna say something. I'm sorry. I feel like
it's okay. It'll come back to you, Russell. It'll come back to you. Go ahead, Russell.
There's the narrative structure of it and the way they dish out information. In House of the Dragon season 1, each episode was a time jump, and you were going in chronological order, right? You weren't doing flashbacks. You were going in order. And you saw the progression of generations happening within the first 6 episodes of House of the Dragon. I felt like, what if he started on Brendock and then go into the current story? Yeah, like the flashbacks were not necessary. I felt like if you just told that Brendock story in one episode in the beginning, or at least 4 and 5 should have been together. 3 and 7 should have been together.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have 6 episodes. Yeah, and then you have 6 episodes. There you go.
It should have been 2 hours each, and it should have been like maybe 3 sessions of watching it, like 3 sessions, and then like drawing it out over 6 to 7 weeks ruined the show and the pacing. It ruined the experience. I felt like the story would have been better if it was dished out differently. And I feel like all of our frustrations would have overshadowed like the enjoyment of it. And the editing was horrible, especially in episode 5, the beginning, which was the best episode of the season.
By far, I agree.
Yeah.
5 was the best.
But it was the editing that threw me off, that made me feel like, well, episode 4 ended abruptly, and episode 5 started off really clunkily when I was like, well, what if you were to just stitch that together and take out the clunk? Then it would have flowed way better. Like, and people, I think the show would have garnered much more higher praise if you had started with Brendock, then go into that forest, and then you'd have huge momentum, and you'd have a lot of the mystery out of the way. Then you still have enough of it to make you want to keep watching, but a lot of the stuff felt unnecessary.
It did, and I also think they were hanging their hat on. They thought they were building a mystery that we were all going to be like, oh, but it was too obvious. It was more like, oh, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen, you know. And I think, and I was going to mention something that Kyle said. Like, I think I read somewhere, or maybe it was watching. I don't even remember anymore. But Indara, is that Trinity's
Indara? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She killed all those witches by like choking them or snapping their necks. She did something that killed them all, and this kind of feeds into the stuff that Kyle has been saying for many years. The Jedi suck. Like they're not as good of people as we think they are.
It's not that they suck. They have hubris. You know,
they do,
have major hubris.
In this show, they make them like even Soul's reason. Like that motherfucker.
Oh, it's terrible.
Was powerful enough to hold up the fucking bridge like this, which is like a bunch of heavy metal. They could have easily just held both girls and brought them down. Like if fucking what's her name, purple hair from Rebels can fling Ezra across this giant chasm, and she's terrible in the Force. There's no way Master Soul could not like bring those girls in and save them both.
My wife said the same thing.
It was so they don't play by the Star Wars rules, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons. Like they shit on canon. Although Kyle gave me a eyes up face when I mentioned that Ki-Adi-Mundi, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Ki-Adi-Mundi's fine.
Yeah,
but
he knows he's the one who says about the Sith. He says the Sith have been
but there's no
stick from
nobody knows there's a Sith. Nobody knows there's a Sith.
They do now.
His dad or memory wiped.
Green Girl's going to tell
he doesn't know
Yoda,
he's a
and now
Sith.
Yoda's going to be an accomplice in all
They
this
don't-
bullshit.
No, but
She
they don't
doesn't know he's a
I don't know
Sith.
about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
But
just
she's
knows.
going to tell him about
knows-
but she's going to tell him about the cover up, though. She's going to tell Yoda about the cover up, and he's going to cover it up.
Maybe, but maybe not. It's I
Again,
agree
she
with,
doesn't know there's a Sith.
I agree with Kyle on
Okay.
this.
Oh,
She
that's
just
fine.
knows that
That's
her
fine. But
former,
making
we're assuming her former
yeah.
apprentice is running around, or
Yeah.
someone that, someone that she knows from the Jedi Order is out there, and he's fallen to the ways of evil. But that doesn't mean that that she knows he's a Sith. It just means
But he calls
he's
himself
gone to
a
the dark
Sith.
side.
Oh,
He
yeah,
just-
they
yes,
don't
but
know.
not
He
to
does,
her.
but
Okay,
not to
That's right.
her.
That's right.
anybody
That's right.
who's
You're
still
right.
alive. Yeah.
You're right.
But
You're right.
you are 100% right about the weird use of the Force or lack thereof.
Yeah.
It is interesting because in the second Brendock episode, you see that at first he's using the Force to hold up the bridge, the two parts of the bridge. And then he fails at that, so he saves one of them. So I guess the idea is he spent all of his Force points and could only save one of them. I don't know. But there's also, like, he at no point does he sense that it's not Osha when they switch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's just the whole time, he's like, here's the thing, Osha. And for some reason, the little rat decides to help her.
The shit rat. That
Shit
I
rat.
want to get
Which
into
I don't
him.
understand why he helped her.
At the
That
end,
made no
at the end, when he
sense
pulls
to
when he
me.
pulls the thing out, first he steps on her foot, bites her, or whatever the hell he does earlier, saying, "I don't like you." And then later she's like, "No, you can't kill her. I'm going to pull all this shit out." Then my friend Christian, I'm going to bring up Christian Holoff again. The Big Thing. If you guys haven't seen that podcast, you should go subscribe because he's amazing. His show's awesome. Every time he says "shit rat," I laugh. So I'm going to bring it into our show because that little shit rat he's just a fart sniffer. He's always looking like he's fucking sniffing for farts, and he's just that character was so stupid. And he was cute, but he was so stupid. Like Jar Jar is 9 million times better than that fucking thing. So and they're Jedi. Why do they need a fucking tracker? Use your fucking Force.
Well, okay, so here's two things I want to speak to. One, it kind of goes with what Russell was saying about the editing, and then also goes into what you were saying. This show would have worked better for me if they had started with Brendock and done all of the past stuff first, because that would have made the show pretty weighty and a little bit darker, and leaned into more of this whole idea that we're getting the Sith point of view, and or in that the Jedi did a bad thing. There were bad decisions made, and that's coming back to haunt them now that May is tracking them down, right? That I think narratively would have worked way better. The second thing is, if you're going to have the two girls be a virgins in the Force and it literally be the same person split into two, whatever weird stuff you want to do with that, and that's fine.
What was that?
That's interesting, I guess, but I think it would have been cool in the moment where Soul is trying to save one of them or both of them, that you spend a second on his face, because that actor is really good at emoting. Like
he's fantastic,
great, right?
Yeah, he's fantastic. I haven't even seen Squid Game, but I know that's what he's from.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
So let the camera linger on his face, give him the time, and give him the direction to say, have a moment where you're confused, like you're trying to hold both of them, but then suggest that, wait, both of them, but they're the same person, possibly. Like, plant that seed sooner in that first episode where he's made this bad decision, but then he's trying to save both. He realizes the Virgins is them. He's trying to save them. And then it sets up his whole tragic story where he's trying to prove that he knows what the Virgins is, why it was happening on this planet, and nobody will believe him because he was only able to save one of them, right?
Yeah.
So you do all of those things, and suddenly this mystery actually feels more like a mystery, or at least more complex. Like, kind of take, God, I just love being able to use Columbo as a reference because Columbo's great. Set up like Columbo, where you show the bad stuff, you show the murder, so to speak, and then it's all about how they're going to get caught, right? That's how the rest of the show, it's how they're going to get caught. So show it first, and then let us as the audience stick with the weight of that and the gravity of that, and like, oh my God, the Jedi, they did this bad thing. How are they going to get out of this? Oh God, they're spinning this, they're lying. Wait, but it's not them, it's not the whole Jedi, it's just this group. That would have been so much more powerful, in my opinion.
Yeah,
100%. It would have been more powerful to see why they're chasing May and to see them bring Yord and Jackie into the forest for them to die. Like,
Right.
all that would have had more weight, like knowing what happened already. Like,
Well, and then you can spin it that the Jedi are also, in addition to trying to catch the person killing Jedi, when they realize that it's May or it's somebody that looks like Osha or whatever, they're also trying to cover up for themselves and continue and perpetuate the lie and save their own skin and save the face of the entire Jedi Order, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
man, that would have been so cool.
you nailed something there, Potter, that I've been thinking this entire time watching this show. This should have been Dark Detective or Dark Detective. What the hell's the name of that show? Not Dark Detective. True Detective. This needed to be that kind of murder mystery in the Star Wars universe. It should have been Sol and Jackie investigating a murder and Kamir being there. And Kamir, tempts Jackie because I loved her. Maybe because I love Daphne Keane, but I loved that character. Her look,
Jackie was great.
She was awesome. Although it was kind of weird that she was like kind of inept in the beginning of the show, like with her fighting, and then all of a sudden she's taking on Kamir, no problem, before he kills her. But she's doing a pretty good job for a little while there. But maybe she was giving into the dark side. But that's what I'm saying. Like they missed. This show is an entire missed opportunity.
yeah,
That they had these creative elements. They had these great elements. And maybe Russell, you can save Sol for me, because I loved Sol until he fucking stabbed the smoke monster. She wasn't even why did you stab her?
yeah.
That was not. What the fuck? Like, there was no reason to do that. And he gave in to fear. He went to the dark side because he gave in to fear. Oh, she's disappearing. What? It's decisions that these characters make, and the twins are the worst part. Like, May and Osha switch on a dime. May's like, okay, I don't want to be bad anymore. I'm gonna go with my sister. Oh wait, no, I want to kill Sol now. And then when fucking Osha switch at the end, where she just goes and force chokes. Why? How can she force choke already?
It doesn't matter. I saw that a mile away. Like when she said, "Oh, I had this vision of hand outstretched and Sol dying or whatever." I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be."
But how can Sol not stop
they're gonna flip it?
She's an untrained Force user, and you're a fucking Jedi Master, and you just let yourself be choked. What the fuck?
They were trying to do the hero's death, or the honorable death. He was trying to atone for his actions, and the thing is, I just didn't care at that point. I was like, good, he did something bad, and I don't believe that you showed me that he repented, but I don't believe it based on the way it was scripted and edited and shown to me. Like, it wasn't earned.
And I think that the biggest problem with that, and my big middle finger to this fucking show, is you did not give Sol enough reason to want to have Osha as bad as he did. He went so above and beyond for this one girl for no fucking reason. And I rewatched the footage. The only thing I could even find was fucking Trinity comes up and fucking knocks him down a peg and goes, and that's why I have a Padawan and you're lonely, you loser.
Yeah.
Well, did they? I can't remember. What was the explanation of why Osha got kicked out or not trained?
Because she couldn't let go of her anger that her sister caused the fire and
That's
killed everybody and everything.
How did that little fire? Yeah. How that little book of fire turn into the fucking whole place burning down? Like, come on, and so quickly. Are you living in a tinderbox?
Well,
those old gasoline mines, you got to watch out.
Remote, witch facilities.
You know what it was
on the ass end of the galaxy, right? Bad wiring.
Was there coaxium there from Solo? Is that why that thing burned up so fucking unrefined coaxium? I had to bring Solo in here somehow, Kyle.
Yeah, because Kyle loves that movie. It's his favorite Star Wars movie.
Okay, wait, Kyle, Solo or the Acolyte?
Acolyte.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just saying that to be hateful, Kyle. Wow.
No,
that's the right call. I've seen both. He made the right call right there.
Oh man, I vehemently disagree with you both, but that's why I love you guys. We have different opinions, and it's great.
I love Solo too, but I also understand Kyle's reservations with Solo. That's the thing about it. Like,
it's not reservations, but it's a deep hatred.
Yes, I get it. I know. I was trying to soften the blow there. Okay, so
Here's
Have
how
we
Han
done-
got his gun. Here's how Han got his vest. Here's how Han got his left boot. Here's how Han
Okay.
got his right boot.
The last name I'll give you.
Here's
the last name
why
was
3PO
stupid.
said in one line, "Your ship speaks a strange vernacular." Just shoot me.
Playing all the hits.
Also, I just have to say, you know what we should call you since you're alone?
Okay,
You're
that one.
Solo. That one,
Unaccompanied.
I'll agree with you on
give
that one.
I did
Yeah.
not like them.
Like-
I did not like them giving hand like nothing, like no family. I wanted some Thrak and Sal Solo to come out eventually, but
Anyway, back to the
again, you guys were-
Sal
okay.
Solo.
Back to the Acolyte. So have we pretty much touched on all the bad before we can get to the good?
No.
Okay, John, what do we got? Are you
There's
just
one more
kidding?
thing There's one more thing I wanted to add, and it's a trend that I really just kind of mollywopped me across the face when I was
Okay.
watching the Acolyte.
Mollywopped. That's a good
Yeah.
one. I'm borrowing that one.
Oh,
Molly,
Yeah,
That's an
you're
East,
so
that's East
you're
Coast
so
term,
southern.
guys.
Yeah,
That's East Coast boys. But anyway,
Hmm.
long story short, there's this trend that I'm noticing where these Star Wars films are very much like, I think, Dan, you might have said earlier, where you're running a gamble. Because, like you guys said, if this show is allowed to continue, I do think it's going to be a heavily how the Sith, how I Met Your Sith or
the
whatever.
show
hell
we
it is.
should have got. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So, but what it's doing is, like you said, they're always rolling the dice and they give you just peeks of a much more interesting thing around the corner. Then I'm like, why didn't you just make that fucking movie right now? Like,
Mhm.
and in this thing, it was very case in point. Like, I see Darth Plagueis's Nosferatu looking ass sneaking
I know,
out
we're
of a
gonna
fucking
get to
cave
him.
over here, and I'm
We're
like,
gonna get to him.
are we not?
I
gonna
want to
talk
see
about-
that.
Yeah, are we?
But-
Yeah, are we not going to talk about Nosferatu over here in the fucking cave hanging out? Like,
Yeah.
clearly he's getting ideas for what he's going to do with Anakin after Palpatine and all that shit. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to see. And then the biggest like mollywop again, it went left and then it came back right for the very last scene in the whole fucking thing because everyone and their dumb fucking mama is wondering where the hell Yoda is if this is 130 years ago. And then let's just show the back of his bald ass head at the very end of the fucking series and say, "Hey, audience, you wanted to see Yoda? There he is. Fuck you." Like that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Here's what I heard. I heard they wanted to use Yoda, but they were told they couldn't, and that was the only thing they could get from him. The line was the puppet was busy, and I'm like, well, he's not a puppet anymore. He's fucking CGI.
Come
But-
on.
Well, you
But
get
here's the
over to
thing.
that graveyard, you pull Frank Oz's ass out of the ground, we'll get a couple car batteries, we'll fucking bring him back to life,
Frank
and we'll
Oz
get that
ass.
voice out of him one way or another.
John, you said the right thing though, because look at what Lucas did originally. He had the story written out, and he realized the middle part was the best part of the story. So that's what I'm going to tell first.
Yep.
Why don't you think that? You know what? Think like George. And I really wish we would someday get like a comic book version or a TV show that's Elseworlds or whatever they would call it in Star Wars, where we get what Lucas would have done with 7, 8, and 9. I really wish we would get that someday. Disney probably won't let it happen, but
Nah.
man, I would really
No
love
way.
that. But anyway, anybody else got some more negative stuff before we get into the good stuff?
No.
Okay,
don't think
we're
so.
good. All right.
No, I
So-
just want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
All
Go
right,
for
I
it.
remember what I was going to say earlier, actually. And like I said, as an audience member, I wasted so much mental energy trying to follow this little fucking family circus dotted line trail around this plot when they could have just very much laid it out, give me the one flashback episode, like you said, 3, 7. Because once I saw 7, I was back into it. But I swear to God, I passed out watching it, sleeping attempts between episodes
Yeah.
1 and 6.
Oh, same.
Now, Darth,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Darth Thirst Trap showed up. It was a little bit better because, like, okay, now we're getting somewhere with this fucking thing. But
Mhm.
then the final 2 episodes really saved it for me. And again, I just wanted to say, put my stamp of approval. on the
Oh,
whole
interesting. I
thing. Could've
hated the
edited
finale.
more.
I hated the finale.
I knew
let me-
you would. Yeah.
Yeah, there's parts of the finale I like, but I really hated the finale, and a lot of it's the same thing I've been saying this whole time. I just thought it was bad writing, and I just thought because the characters made bad choices, like choices that didn't make any friggin' sense. Like, and then like Kyle was saying earlier, some of the stuff that wasn't like that was the second to the last episode, but yeah, Jedi Toman, balding guy, like that was the worst, by the way, old makeup ever when they made Toman older. Like I was trying to figure out, I was like, why does this guy look so weird?
Yeah, I noticed that with his.
I didn't even realize it was
hair
Toman
dye.
until later.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was Toman until later.
It
but,
wasn't.
like,
It wasn't the best I've seen.
yeah,
For sure.
and it was just like, yeah. Why did he want to go home? Like, you're a fucking Jedi. Stop crying for I want to be back in Coruscant. No,
You need to go
you're
home to
supposed
pray.
yes, exactly. It's like the Navy. It's not a job. It's an adventure. Like you're supposed to travel, Jedi.
Right? You need
It's
to go
it's
home
so-
and listen to his fucking like He needed his little hyperbolic time chamber and lose his hair. That's what he had to go home and do.
I think,
and it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. I don't even think it was late. Although I went balding very early in my life, but it just seemed weird that he was bald. He looked way too old, and that he didn't. Or, I don't know. That was just bad.
He had the Wicked Witch of the West in his head. What do you expect, man? Like he was getting all kinds of fucked up.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
My thought before we switch to good stuff. This isn't really a good or bad thing, but I think it came across as bad in the show. Is there were too many characters, right? You know, this was billed as a High Republic era show, right? And the only High Republic characters we got were Vernestra and then Yoda's little backside cameo at the end. And for me, I'm like, why didn't you pull some of the other characters from the High Republic? Now, I know the books are still ongoing; they're still writing. Some of those characters might meet their ends.
They don't care about
the
connection anymore. They don't. They obviously don't care.
They're
violating their own fucking canon.
Yeah. So if it's not going to be a High Republic show, or if it's going to be a High Republic show, use some of those characters that we're familiar with from the books, right? You know, bring at least a couple more of them into play. And then don't have so many characters in an 8-episode show, because we don't all of their arcs weren't earned by the end, but also we don't have time to care about every single character, and that's part of, I think, what makes it feel so abrupt with some of these characters, like Yord or even Jecki. You know, their time on the show is so abrupt when. Sure, there's always I love the term glup shitto characters, the background characters that everybody latches onto that are left mysterious. Like, that's great. Let's have some more of those. But it felt like they were trying to create too many glup shittos for us to latch onto and care about, and then they didn't. What happened is we didn't get to spend time with any of them, at least not enough time. Right?
Well, you know what they should have done is, remember that group of Jedi that Soul brings back to the planet or whatever. They should have just had all those guys in red robes, because they were basically fucking Star Trek red shirts.
That's great.
Like, they were fodder. They were going to be fucking toasted.
100%. And I was good.
I don't think any of them had lines. I don't think any of them had lines. They were all extras.
Yeah, they were like, those are lines. You get paid for that.
Yeah, that's true. They're stuntmen, and stuntmen do deserve their due.
It just felt overstuffed.
Those guys and ladies are awesome. Stunt because that's what I'm gonna get to. Okay, now let's get into the good stuff. Unless Kyle, do you have anything bad? No. Okay, we're gonna get into the good stuff. First of all,
good stuff.
Good stuff. I liked most of the performances. I thought that one guy, that one Jedi master, I guess he was a master, the one I was hanging out with, Venestra, that guy was weird. Like, he seemed to be like a nepto hire, which I'm not usually fine. I'm fine with not nepotism. I don't really mind nepotism, especially if the person's good at their job. But that guy was not good. You know, that's the one performance I was like, nah, you're weird, bro. Like, you don't seem like you should be a Jedi master. You seem like you should be like the fucking guy in the mailroom of the Jedi temple. You know, like, it doesn't.
I kind of liked him. Honestly.
And then he had to mention.
He was weird. He was fun.
But other than, sorry, go ahead, Russell. What were you saying?
He looked like somebody's nephew.
Like, he was related to somebody.
Where you see this guy, you're like, how'd you get this job? Oh, my uncle's the showrunner. Like,
all right, there it is.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, I enjoyed all the performances, which made me sad. Like, the Trinity got dusted because so early. I understand why, but
Carrie Ann Moss.
Yeah, I know who she is. Carrie Ann Moss. I know. I shouldn't keep calling her Trinity. That's unfair.
Well, we haven't said her actual actress name.
Yes, that's true.
Name on the podcast.
But here's the thing: you might not have to, because you built the show on her. Not built the show, but one of the things that the show was featuring was her star power. And everybody's like, "Oh my god, the girl who played Trinity, Carrie Ann Moss, is a Jedi. Yeah, I can't wait to see this." And that fight she had was awesome. Which gets to my next point, and then I'll hand it off to you guys. The fight scenes were incredible. Like, the fight choreography in the show was fantastic. Everybody did their job. Everybody took a page out of Hayden Christensen's book. From what I understand, Hayden Christensen is by far the best lightsaber duelist in all of Star Wars. Like, all the actors, they all give him praise. Like, that dude really did practice that art, and he is fantastic. Which is why I really want more young Anakin stuff in Ahsoka coming up, the second season. But I mean, that was one of the other reasons that, like, I wish Jecki stuck around, because she was awesome too. I liked her character so much, but her fighting was so good. And I was hoping they would stick her in a back to tank, a la Luke or Boba Fett, and just like
They're a long way from one of them,
but
Dan.
she's dead,
Mhm.
so yeah, she's not coming back unless we get a flashback show, which we won't.
I don't
Uh,
know. They're into it now. Maybe we will.
maybe, but I just like
I
such a
hope
missed
not.
opportunity. But anyway, so those are my two big things, and I also one last thing. I also thought the show. Uh, I know Potter said he didn't really get some of the cinematography shots, but the show did look beautiful. Like the practical sets they were using, it was obvious. The planets that they went to wasn't what is it, the void? Not the void. What's that thing called that they go that Mandalorian's done on?
The
The
Virgin.
The volume.
the
The volume.
volume.
There you
Yeah,
go.
the
The volume.
volume.
The void. That makes no sense. But anyway, but yeah, but like I thought the show looked fantastic. The space chase in the at the end, where a soul's chasing May. That scene was beautiful. That scene was awesome. That's probably where they spent like 150 of the 180 million dollars this show cost, because
Probably.
that looked fantastic
Yeah,
until the
right.
shit rat messed it up. But anyway, that's all my good. So what do you guys think, Josh? I'll throw it to you.
Uh, Same with that the starship chase. I thought that looked good. I thought the fighting was great. I like that they incorporated some of how do I say this? Some very much Eastern movie influence, with some of the floating and the gliding that you
Oh, the
you might
fighting. Yeah, yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, in something like
Martial
Crouching
arts movies.
Tiger
Yeah.
or House of the Flying Daggers, or any of those kinds of movies.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
You get some cool stuff, and it didn't feel forced. It felt cool.
Didn't it
Um,
though?
the only thing that I was well, no, we're not doing negatives. Yeah, never mind. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no negatives. It's all
overall
positive.
I
It's so
liked the
easy. Let
fighting.
the
I know,
let
God.
the
Oh, let the hate flow through.
flow through you.
Um, yeah, definitely my favorite character out of the whole show was Smilo Ren. Yeah, or Darth Triceps or Darth Thirst Trap, whatever you want to call him. He has many names, and he deserves them all. I thought he was the best duelist of the cast. But Jackie was great and Soul was great. Both of them, that was all fun. But yeah, Manny was really really good in that role, and I wanted more of him, and I wish we would have gotten more of him, because then we would have gotten things from the Sith point of view.
Well,
Um,
let's hope
the
we do. Let's
Cortosis
hope we do.
helmet was cool. I love that, and I'm sure Kyle will agree with me on this. Cortosis, bringing that in from the now Legends
Wait,
continuity, was awesome.
Kyle, what
So,
Kyle, let me interrupt Josh because I want to ask Kyle. Was
yep.
that what you were talking about? Because you texted that I
Yeah,
didn't think they were gonna bring in something
that's
from the legend.
exactly what I was talking about.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know
the
I didn't know that's what it
cortosis
was.
ore.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's slightly different in Legends, but not
Slightly, yeah.
that
Mhm.
different. It's a little. I mean, if he has like a cortosis alloy, then that sort of like solves for the differences. Because in like Legends, it was very brittle, and like Luke and Mara Jade like used their lightsabers to like hack through it because they were like stuck in a cave made of cortosis ore, and
Yep.
it like each time they smacked it with their lightsaber, they would like cut off like a little quarter inch or something.
Mhm.
Which clearly wasn't like quite happening with the helmet or the gauntlet, but that's my big going beyond sort of what everybody said so far, which I agree with all of it, the fights and Manny Jacinto and all of his Chimera stuff, but the especially the fight with the cortosis or the like
Yeah.
the thoughtfulness that went into that, the creativity of him like having that gauntlet and using it to shut down somebody's lightsaber as not as a like, oh, this is a thing that like if it happens, great, but like as part of his strategy, like the way he fights is using his cortosis, is throwing his head into a lightsaber.
Mhm.
It was just that was brilliant. That was
And then
probably like
That mask was
head
creepy.
and shoulders better than anything else I have seen in a while.
it was
That
cool.
mask was super creepy too, with the teeth.
It was great.
Like
Yeah.
it was a well designed mask.
And I love the hidden Shoto lightsaber that pops out, that he uses
Oh,
to
that's right. I
stab
forgot about
Jackie
that.
with, and then
Yeah.
he uses it
Yeah.
as a dagger, essentially as an
She got the
offhand
triple tap.
weapon. Yeah, yeah. No, that was awesome. Which is also why she and Soul were able to handle their, hold their own against him. They adapted the quickest of any of the Jedi that faced him in terms of fighting style. So I thought that was cool. and yeah, I mean, I like Pip. I like the droid. That was
The
a cool droid
the
design.
iPhone droid.
Yeah, the
That's another thing
multi-tool
my friend
droid.
called
Yeah,
it.
that was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
I wasn't wild about the starship designs themselves necessarily, but again, I thought the ships looked good. Um, just yeah, I wasn't a fan of their overall design, but that's a nitpick. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there again, there were a lot of great things about the show. The performances overall were good. Carrie Ann Moss was good. I felt like she was a little underused or a little out of place based on what we got, and I think that's just because I wanted to see more of her. So
yeah. No,
yeah.
I agree. That's why I have fun. All right, Russell, I'm going to come to you last because you like the show more than any of us, and I want to hear your three things. So, John, I'm going to
Yes.
throw it to you. What goodness did you get out of this?
I mean, you guys have already touched on a lot of it. I would say that my biggest thing was I always like when Star Wars lore is able to kind of at least from a, like you said, the Cortosis thing was probably my biggest thing as well because I like the new what it adds to the fight mechanics and what you have going on when you have more refined masters. Um, because truth be told, like what at least more than I don't know if you can cobble together all the first, the Rogue Squadrons or not Rogue Squadron, Rogue One and
Yeah,
fucking Solo and all that stuff into enough more movies. But we spend more time without the Jedi and Force fuckery like prominently than we do with it. At least in as far as like video media. So I really enjoyed that. But I
yeah,
honestly, I for where it's going, I think that the script was good as far as like I enjoyed the narrative of it. I enjoyed where they're going from point A to point B. I did not like the way that they fucking landed there, and I'm not going to rehash that entirely too much. But I feel like like I said, there was good characters here.
Mhm.
The biggest crime is that they did not give us more time to flesh out the relationships more because that would have made everything hit so much harder.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think maybe
Yeah.
even like I said, we always talk about too short or too long, but if you maybe even push it to like 10 episodes and gave us some more time where we see Soul, like, I don't want to say anguishing is the right word, but like he wants to for some reason impart his knowledge or something like that, or give us a back scene where he's like taken away from his parents as a kid because obviously he's going to the Jedi Order. So there's your reason right there. So I don't know anything to kind of make him or give him a reason to want to train OSHA so bad. Other than unless you want to say it's like Darth Plagueis mind fuckery from across the galaxy. He's like, you want that girl? She's going to be Padawan. Like unless there's like this whole huge fucking Sith dark side conspiracy that rolls that deep. Which again, I don't think we're that far down the iceberg.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
There's some
But
pretty weird conspiracy theories out there. There's even one that Chimera is a she Palpatine, but I'm like, no, like
no,
This Filipino dude's not going to turn into an old
no,
English white guy. Like
Right?
that's like
no.
it's like yeah, it's
But the
it's like
dark side of the force is a pathway to many powers that could use it.
well, well, there is that thing. Like, I guess isn't that what Plagueis' thing is? And I want to talk about Plagueis too. And I'm going to get to Russell right now.
Well,
Isn't
hold
one
on,
of
but
Plagueis' things that he transfers himself into other bodies? Isn't
potentially.
that okay?
Potentially, like he is
Yeah.
like there's a Sith soul that body hops into the next badass in line.
Yeah,
Which honestly, the fact that we got a little bit more on this, again, I know I just bitched about the fact that they kind of give us Star Wars lore. They're trying to add or throw at the wall, and then we get these like nuggets of stuff that's connected to stuff we know, and we're supposed to be all like "Ew," about it. So going against that earlier, now I will go in the reverse and say I enjoyed the fact that we do get to see more about this whole concept of the Force being used as an additional means of procreation, where you can
yeah,
just kind of manipulate the midichlorians and the space of life and create it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and like I
Well,
think
and the
Sorry,
act
keep
of
going,
that
John.
is a
Keep
I
going,
was
John.
just going to say
Oh,
the act of that is a bastardization of the force itself, which is very much a dark side thing, essentially. But you're also creating life, and there is a light side aspect to that, so it is very interesting and very multi-layered. And if they
yeah.
wanted to get more detailed on that, I'd sit down for that. That'd be cool,
yeah,
right?
I
like
I
I
don't I
said,
don't I don't. Sorry, go ahead, John. I want you to finish your thought. Go ahead.
yeah. Oh,
No, go ahead.
yeah, no,
You go.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, no, I wanted to know more about that. That was the one of the things I was kind of like, again, we're talking about the good stuff, but them including that I think was nice because
Yeah.
it's you're taking nuggets from the lore that I would like to hear more about, and you're
Yeah,
starting to put them on display. So I think that definitely was a strong suit of
yeah.
the production.
And I don't think what people are saying out there when they're saying it, well, the way they're doing this cheapens Anakin's, immaculate conception because it doesn't. Because if Plagueis is the one who did it, or even Palpatine, they had to learn it from somewhere. So it makes sense that, what they're doing is different than what the mothers, the witches of, I don't know what they were called, but that group. what they were doing with the girls. You know how they created them and then split them into two. So it's I don't even know if they explained that well enough, to be honest with you. But maybe, like I said, I hope we. Well, we'll get to that. I'm gonna end on that part. But Russell, I want to hear you
So
now. Oh, sorry, Carl.
So
Go ahead.
sorry, really quick on that point. We don't know that anybody did create Anakin,
No, we don't. But we
right?
just it's been
Okay.
implied.
Like I know Anakin thinks. Well, I know that there was that like flash in Anakin's head where he thinks he may have been created by Palpatine through the Force, in one of the comics. But we don't know, like, because the way they talk about it is like in this show is that there's a vergence on the planet, and they think that the witches used that vergence to create these two girls, and somehow split them into two. Whereas when they talk about Anakin, they talk about how he is a vergence in and of himself. So I couldn't tell you for sure what any of that means, if anything, but
That's fair.
I just hope we get it in a show, even if it's a cartoon. I just don't want it to happen in the comics or the books because I just this some of the stuff is too important to do it in other media besides video or motion picture. But anyway, Russell, sorry, you've been waiting patiently, so I want to hear about one person here who gives a thumbs up to the show and those three things you were talking about. Go.
I'm a Gen Z brother. When Kenobi came out, Andor, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, we were watching these shows. My twin brother and I were watching them. And I have a Gen Z brother who would always come downstairs or come into the kitchen. He'd see us watching, or he'd hear our conversations around it. He's like, "You bozos and Star Wars, like none of this Star Wars is interesting." I was like, "All right, well, what kind of Star Wars would you want?" He's like, "Oh, I fuck with Revenge of the Sith. I love Revenge of the Sith." I was like, "Yeah, but what would you want out of Star Wars?" Like, he's like, "They should go to the beginning. They should make it like House of the Dragon. They should go back to before Phantom Menace." I was like, "Oh, you mean High Republic?" He's like, "What the fuck is that?" He's like, "You're gonna get what you want. This is gonna be a show
Padawan.
called Acolyte, where it takes place before Phantom Menace. It takes place before anything else. This show is for people like you, Gen Z people who don't care about Star Wars, or at least not anymore, and want to see something new." He's like, "I just want to see something new, new, new." And I'm like, "This is what the Acolyte is gonna be for."
Let the past die, right, Russell? Let the past die.
And yes, and so that was my mindset. This is a show that brought me and my brothers together, watch a show together. We normally don't.
Okay.
And
Nice.
then also I have a lot of friends of mine, like females in particular, who don't fuck with Star Wars, and they never will. So I said to this person or these people, I was like, "Hey, here's a show where you never have to see any Star Wars before, because all the Star Wars stuff that exists, you are never gonna watch it anyway. But here's a show where you don't need any of that. You just start from the beginning. It's for people like you. It's a woman director, and she lit up. I was like, it's starring a person of color. She lit up, and it's a woman. So I was like, I know it's very woke to say that, but I'm saying for those people who don't give a fuck about Star Wars anyway, this is your entry point. If you're a woman who don't give a fuck about Star Wars, this is your entry point. If you're a woman of color who didn't give a fuck, this is your entry point. So that was how I arrived at this show. I did not need this show to be like Kenobi, because Kenobi pissed me off like no other, because Kenobi comes with all the hopes and expectations and fill in the gaps. The Lord, I want to see Anakin and Obi-Wan talk. I want them to talk about Padme. I want them, and then
you gotta wait for it.
All the stupid stuff. But with the Acolyte, you have nothing. You have no expectations. You only hope. No expectations, only hope that it's good. And good is a point of view. And good.
It is. Thank you, Alec Guinness.
It is. Love it.
I had just come off of Ahsoka, which I loved. It gave me Anakin from the Clone Wars. It gave me, you could not top that. And Kathleen Kennedy gave us Andor, which was amazing. It's a prestige show. So who's the Acolyte for? It ain't for us. I knew this coming in. It ain't for us. I just thought about the people who it's for, and hopefully it gets new fandom. Did it work? I do not know. I don't think so. But The reason why I think it's good is because I only had 3 requirements, and those 3 were: this all has to add up to Plagueis. I need Plagueis. That's my #1 need. You show me Plagueis, I'm fucking happy. #2, you gotta have Yoda. Otherwise, it's a missed opportunity. How do you not have Yoda? It's not an actor playing Yoda. You just need Yoda, like in some shot, and I'm good. So those are the 2 things I need. And if they didn't have those 2, I would still would have been fine because I knew they were trying to do their own thing. But I would have been like, then what's the show for? If it doesn't connect anything else, then
Yeah.
it's a decent show. And then my brother asked one of the writers, like when they saw her like a few weeks ago, we're like, "Hey, did you guys at least talk about Plagueis in the room?" And she's like, "Yeah, we talked about it." We're like, "Yes, yes."
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he's in it. We talked about it. Like, okay, as long as we know that the Lucasfilm people have at least thought, consider it. Because if he had just like, "Oh, who's Plagueis?" then I would have been like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
All right, sir, keep your secrets.
yeah, if he didn't have those 2, I would have understood. Because the third thing that I needed was this: the 2 Asian dudes, one light side, one dark side, fucking going kung fu arts at each other, and that
Dude.
delivered. So, like, as an Asian dude, like, I'm not Korean, like, I'm not Filipino, but for my Filipino brothers out there, they felt seen. They're like, oh, like, you should have seen the community. And I grew up in Daly City, where all Filipinos talk about is represented and stuff. And then Lee Jung Jae, if you had seen Squid Game, like, you would know this guy is a real deal. And like I came into the show for him. Like, if I had not seen Squid Game, I wouldn't have cared. And
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
yeah, and so those 3 things. So by the finale, despite all the stupid shit that we saw, despite the frustration, despite how much I hated the way they doled out the episodes, and me being a post-production person who has seen every cut of an episode and seen how things put together, I am just very critical of how they doled out the episodes. I strongly repeat, 4 and 5 should have been together, 3 and 7 should have been together, and then it would have been a much stronger, a much better show. But
Yeah.
by the time we got to episode 8, I was like, okay, those 3 things have to happen. If they don't happen, then I'm just gonna say the show is not good. It's just not good. But because it fulfilled the 3 things. When I saw Plagueis, I was sitting next to my twin brother. I gasped like, oh, I'm Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want to say who he was because I didn't want to ruin it. Because my brother, he doesn't know what Plagueis looks like. He just jokingly said, "Oh, that's Darth Plagueis." That's our joke. It's like, oh, it's Mephisto.
Yeah, it's Mephisto.
That's
Yeah.
where he's been this whole time.
And throughout the whole 7 episode, we kept joking like, "That's Darth Plagueis. That's Darth Plagueis. Plagueis." We're just joking. Darth Smiley, Darth like, that guy's Plagueis. There's gotta be Plagueis. Yeah, but I know the Plagueis cameo is kind of cheap for a lot of people. Like, oh, they didn't do anything, but that was enough for me. Just as long as they acknowledge it, that was enough for me. And then the Yoda thing, they saved him for the very last shot. I was like, all I need is just acknowledgement that they at least looked at the lore, at least cared about these characters.
It's just
there.
But it just made it so weird that they didn't consult Yoda at all, during this whole time. Plus, he probably knows what's going on. I mean, he feels the deaths of all the Jedi, but he didn't feel the ones on the planet. Like, it's
if he's it depends on if he's already on the council, which I think
he's
might
the head.
be.
He's the head already.
And
the way she went to him that way, like,
well, and that's the thing. They weren't going to go to the council at all. They kept this hidden from the council. So I get that they didn't have Yoda in the series more. Plus, if they had him in it more, then it would have been all about Yoda instead of about the other Jedi. So I'm yes, the cameo still feels cheap to me, but I'm with Russell on this. At least they acknowledged that, yeah, he's around, he's there. We're gonna maybe bring him in for a season 2 if that happens.
Yeah,
if you're a good audience.
Yeah.
No, but for me, I mean, I'm glad that he got the cameo, and I'm glad it made Russell happy, and it made you happy, Potter. But you could have just easily just explained his absence, that he's off world somewhere and he's like far in the outer rim or something, doing something, or he's on Kashyyyk. Yeah, he's on the Kashyyyk.
He's tapping the avalanche, making little Grogu.
They're not expanding the circle. They're not gonna tell Yoda.
Yeah. Or what I would appreciate too is, this is me coming from the sitcom world, where if the very first episode and very first scene, you show Yoda, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna fuck off now, but
Yeah, I'm gonna tip out.
yeah, and
Fuck
hold
off,
for
I will.
applause. Like
Good.
the audience applause.
Nice.
Yeah, cheer woo. It's like it's Yoda, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna fuck
I
off now. And then the rest of the
I
story
would have
is
like
still Yoda until the very end. He's like, hey guys, what
huh,
I missed?
I
And
want to
like,
hear I want to hear Kyle. Kyle's
tell me
going to say
now.
it vehemently. What
Well,
what are you
if
objecting,
Yoda
Kyle?
had been in the beginning of the show, I would have been out immediately.
Oh, okay.
I was not happy he showed up. I was not happy Plagueis showed up. Like,
Oh, not in
can we
Plagueis. Oh, okay.
just no? Can we just someday get away from the fucking original trilogy and the prequels? Like, I don't need to be like, here's Kyner, here's Plagueis. I wonder if Palpatine shows up next season. Like, I don't fucking want any of that. Give me something divorced from it. Give me something separate.
They're too
Like,
scared.
or if you're not going to, be as good as Andor.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fine. That's fair. That's fair, Kyle. Although
Fair ultimatum.
Yep.
I don't think Palpatine's jumping in because he's not even born yet. So, but I get your feeling there, Kyle, and everything, and I just wish, like, I just hope that I want Plagueis. I do want Plagueis, and I want his story, but I don't necessarily need a second season of this show unless the second season only focuses on Chimere and Plagueis and May or Osha or whoever that was dies, off screen. Like, I don't need those characters anymore. I don't need anybody who's left alive from the show. I don't need from here on out. It's just I mean, Yoda, the only reason he should be in there somewhere, and I'm fine with the way they did it, as we talked about this more, because it's just weird that the Jedi, like him, not being around at all during this time. That's why I wish it would have been 1,000 years ago before he was even born. It would have been better. But then you can't incorporate the High Republic. The problem is, like, I hope that this doesn't kill the High Republic either, because I do want to see more in this world. But I agree with you. You don't really need Yoda around, but I think we do need Plagueis. And
Yeah.
like I said, I just think this was a missed opportunity because you got some characters like John said that I would have loved to get deeper into. I would have loved to seen Soul and Indara's past, like see how their friendship developed or whatever. The fact that she's willing to perpetuate this lie and cover everything up for this man. They're obviously very close, so it would have been fun to see that. But like I said, this show was a bunch of missed opportunities. They had some good stuff. I love what Russell said. That totally saves it for me in the sense that yes, this was not our Star Wars. This was for another generation, and I hope it does get people into it. I hope because maybe they're the people that can get us a second season if we want it, or if well we don't want it. But I guess it comes down to this. Since we all kind of know, since it sounds I know what your answers to the question is, do you want a second season? Do you think, and I'm going to go one by one, and you just say yes or no. You don't have to get deep into it. Josh, do you think there's going to be another season? Just yes or no. You don't no explanation. Just yes or no.
My gut says yes. Do I want another season? No.
Okay.
I don't need it.
Kyle, you think
I
there's
think
going to
so.
get one? There will be. Okay.
I
Do you
think
want
so.
one? Do you want one?
Yes, with caveats.
Okay, that's good. That's
I
good
guess
enough.
I changed my answer to Kyle's. Yes, with
Okay.
caveats. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's two. That's four yeses basically.
Major caveats.
Russell, do you think there's going to be a second season? Do you want a second season?
No, I don't think there'll be a second season, but yes, I want a second season.
Okay. John Hudson, what do you think, buddy?
Oh, I think that I'm gonna go with no, unless they don't have any other bad ideas.
Do you want a second season?
I mean, like I said, yes with caveats. I think that's the popular train. I'm
Okay.
getting on that one. That's
Okay.
let's keep it real, but yeah.
I fall in the no category as far as will there be one, but I do want another season, and I guess caveats is probably the best way to say it because I wouldn't mind seeing more of Chimere and more of
Yep.
Plagueis. So
Okay.
no more shit rat though. No more shit rat.
Well, it's like
watch Sheev
do I
Go ahead, Kyle. Kyle, you go first.
I want a second season. I don't know if I necessarily care about the second season that they are setting up, where
Okay.
like Veranda is hunting Chimere and Plagueis and Osha and Chimere are, doing whatever they do while avoiding the Jedi. Like, it's
but Kyle, if you can hold your breath for just one more season, is that third season really going to be worth it?
what's going to
It's
happen.
definitely.
It's
Go
going to
ahead,
be
Russell.
about them finding this boy. It's this little, person of color black kid, and then it's around them trying to find this boy, and it turns out that boy is Sheev Palpatine. But like, wait, he's black though. How is he? That's what season.
Palpatine was born a poor black child.
Star Trek made Khan
Please,
Noonien
yes.
sing. Star Trek made Khan Noonien sing into a white dude. By the way, not to get into Star Trek, but there is a comic book that explained that he did some kind of crazy surgery that made him white for some weird reason. And that's
Whatever
how
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. Got a light skinned friend.
Well, he was wasn't he part of the eugenics war anyway? So, I mean, you could argue that if you're getting into eugenics and things like that, I mean, this isn't a Star Trek pod, but
Are you saying that the ideal genetic makeup is white?
no, of course not.
Be careful.
And I'm out of here, guys.
Let me just Homer
to
Simpson
be fair,
back away from that.
To be fair, Ricardo Montalban was a Mexican playing a Egyptian or whatever Khan Noonien Singh's supposed to be, but I think he's Mexican. I could be getting that wrong.
Ricardo Montalban, yeah, he was supposed to be. I thought he was supposed to be playing more. I thought it was supposed to be Native American. Maybe not. No, dude, I might be wrong.
Singh like
Khan
Indian.
Noonien. Oh well, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. I guess it's Indian, but
it doesn't matter because
I don't know. It doesn't matter, but
it doesn't matter because he's so handsome and he
I
has
love
the greatest
Ricardo Montalban.
voice.
He's he's
man. We have definitely gone way off.
We got
rails here.
way off as we do.
Okay, this is where we're gonna. Oh, sorry, Russell wants to say something. Russell, go ahead.
You guys talk about caveats. Like, what would you want in season 2? Because I know what I would want, but what would you guys want in season 2?
I want
red lightsabers, more of them everywhere.
I want Osha to not be part of it. I want it to be just Chimere and Plagueis, even if it's a prequel, because we don't even know if Chimere even knows that Plagueis is there. Plagueis could just be there Nosferatuing, as John said. I love how you said that, by the way, because I'm so excited for that Nosferatu movie with Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah,
but
Bill
anyway,
Skarsgård, yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, that movie's gonna be disturbing because that director, his shit's so disturbing. Anyway, I digress. So yes, I want Plagueis' story, and I don't need Yoda involved. I don't need any of the Jedi that we know involved. I just want a straight Sith show, like where these characters are kind of on the sidelines. The good characters are like off watching from a distance, or not even off watching distance. They don't fucking know what's going on. That makes it interesting to me. I just want to see a Sith show, Sith focused, like we were promised.
Yes, I want that.
I would like the further exploration of not necessarily Darth Plagueis, but what the fuck he's doing with this whole using the Force to create life. And I would really like them to kind of make it dark if they're doing it, and have it be the whole reason that either May or Osha was so important was because not only were they created with the Force and they themselves had a high, M count, or whatever the fuck we're calling it now, but also they're female. So if you do the same fucking trick and put life into her, now you're extrapolating and you're making it's like a thoroughbred is now birthing a super thoroughbred.
Yeah,
maybe that's what he's trying to do. Give like a super powerful force wielder by like I said, Star Wars eugenics essentially, where you're just basically using force-born children to increase the M count and increase the M count and increase the M count until finally Darth Plagueis has his perfect body and then boom.
Yeah.
Does good old Sheev Palpatine, does he have a origin that's canon?
No.
Didn't he do a novel? Okay. I thought there was a novel.
A recent one, though?
I don't know if there's a recent Disney canon novel.
Are you thinking of the Tarkin one?
Canon. Tarkin book is good, by the way. That's a good book.
There was a Tarkin book that went through sort of his entire life.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
But I don't know if there's a Palpatine one.
No, I think all we know about Sheev is that he's from Naboo and met Plagueis at some point, and
Sheev was his bottom bitch.
Sheev.
I think I don't know. bears further research, I guess, to refresh my memory.
Or we'll go Potter first, and then Kyle. I want to hear your caveats because John made me interested now.
I would be on board with John's idea. I would like that. Basically, just a more exploration of the Sith and the relationships and hierarchy there. I mean, we know about the rule of two. Um, we know about the fact that an apprentice can take on an acolyte and overthrow the master, and that's what the whole show is. That's the other thing. That's what the whole show is supposed to be about also. Like they okay, you're not going to sell it as something from the Sith point of view. Okay, that sucks, but all right, give me a good story. Oh, you didn't even give me a good story because you keep setting up that this is all about the acolyte and the apprentice and the acolyte working together to overthrow the master, and we don't even get the inklings that that's what's going to happen until the very end of the show. The whole show is supposed to be about that, not the setup for him finding the perfect acolyte and the twist between May and Osha and the flip flop. So I want more of just straight up, like, let's see some dark side stuff happening and show us again why the Sith are bad and why they are a disruption to the normal flow of the Force, right?
And how only two of them can fuck everything up. Although it showed it like Chimere like went through those Jedi's like butter. Like he just slaughtered them.
Well, and
so
and
the
I like
the dark side is obviously more powerful. Like
it is, but it's also that it's the Jedi hubris, and there were explanations floating around, and it was my first thought too, is that the Jedi are used to sparring with other Jedi. They're not used to sparring with Sith because they have never sparred with a Sith because the Sith, quote unquote, haven't existed for a millennium, right? So they haven't encountered another dark side user that's unpredictable and fights with passion and anger and aggression the same way as Chimere does. They're used to the rules and forms of fighting, whereas Chimere breaks all those forms and adapts. That's why you see Sol and Jecki hold their own. They are able to adapt the quickest out of the Jedi, but they're still not quite good enough, right?
God, I'm so pissed off that Jecki's dead. Damn it!
I know.
Sorry.
The other thing. One other thing I liked that I forgot to mention. I liked that we got to see a kyber crystal being bled and turning red.
I didn't know that was a thing. Like when I watched, I was like, "What the hell just happened?"
It's a new thing.
It's been a canon. Okay. It was a Legends thing, and they brought it into canon. Like, so, seeing a lightsaber crystal, like the Sith steal their crystals from Jedi normally, and kyber crystals are supposed to be something that are living organisms in a sense. Okay. So when you're a Sith, in order to bend the kyber crystal to your will, you have to inflict pain on that crystal, which causes it to bleed and turn the color red. I just think that's badass and really cool. And
so there's no. So when you go to get kyber, Kyle, you're saying something?
No. When you go to get.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Then what you can do if you are a light Jedi is you can heal that crystal, essentially. You can purify it. Which is how Ahsoka got her white blades.
Bingo.
So there's no red kyber crystals then, like
correct.
Naturally
all kyber crystals start white according to new canon. And they turn color based on different aspects of your path along the Jedi way and the Jedi code. So yeah, it's pretty cool. That's also why you get our two buddies from Ahsoka with orange lightsabers, where they haven't fully bled a kyber crystal necessarily, but they've started down that path, and they're not quite there, but they're orange. They're more red orange.
Isn't purple a mixture of blue and red? Is that how Mace got his?
Yeah, there's this. We don't have to go into all that, but there's discrepancy on whether he actually is tapping into a little bit of dark side, and that's why it's purple. Or really, I don't think there's any canon that says it's purple. It's just that Sam Jackson wanted a purple lightsaber, and George Lucas caved. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that would be my stuff. I would want to see more, like, let's focus on the Sith. Let's make it dark. Let's make it evil, and maybe even a little bit horrific. Like, give us a Star Wars horror show. Like, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool,
right?
Body horror. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're trying, like, halfway through the season, Osha finds out, girl, they're trying to knock you up, and not in the fun way. So, like, that becomes the whole aspect to it as well. So, I don't know.
Kyle, what were your caveats, since you don't want Plagueis, what do you want then?
Short answer, I don't totally know. I mean, it's Plagueis isn't necessarily the end of the world, um, especially if it doesn't lead sort of directly into Sheev, Palpatine, and that kind of stuff. Um, the big sort of given where they've ended things, like I was interested from the beginning in the idea, like, who is Kymir's master? Does he have a master? Does he not have a master? Is he looking for that, apprentice essentially, or acolyte, whatever you want to, word you want to use, or is he looking for somebody who can join him and he can teach and he can overthrow his master? Like all of that's interesting, um, and like him trying to like avoid revealing it to his master while trying to train his Padawan, or his Padawan, his
his
apprentice, acolyte, etc. Yeah. So all that would be interesting. I don't know that that's 6 episodes or 8 episodes of television, so I don't know what I want. But it feels like it's kind of locked into what it's going to be. I'll watch and I'll probably enjoy a lot of it. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, that's fair. All right then. Well, did that satisfy you, Russell? All the caveats?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we're gonna end it on this. I'm gonna say my favorite nickname for Chimera, and then everybody else gets to say their favorite. My favorite is Darth Daddy.
Wow.
That's my favorite. That because here's the thing. Like I'm pretty sure my sexuality is straight, but at the same time, when I meet people like him and I see people like him on screen, I'm like, huh. Because man, like he's like, and it's not just like, I'm not even talking about sexually, he's just an attractive man to like look at and experience. Like his charisma is just off the charts. And it was as Jason in The Good Place. Like he's such a moron in it. But even during that whole show, they kept talking about what a hottie he is, because the dude is just like, man, he's just like, he's sex on a stick. He's sex on a lightsaber.
Well, and you touched on it. He radiates awesome charisma. He's a likable dude, right?
He's so good. Watching The Good Place again, it's just so fun to watch because, knowing what he becomes, and I can't wait for more performances from him. Apparently, he just came out and said that he got cut out of Top Gun. Like all his good lines and scenes got cut out in Top Gun Maverick, which makes me kind of sad. But Tom gonna be Tom. So, and I still love Tom Cruise, so I'm not working on him. Josh, what's your favorite nickname?
I'm going with Smilo Ren, man. It's great. It's it touches on the mask and everything. It's fantastic.
That was a weird thing because we should have mentioned this. I want to ask you guys your theory on this, because they did show the scene had a little bit of Kylo Ren music. One of the scenes. Were they teasing the Knights of Ren, or is that maybe where Chimera goes?
Maybe there are some similarities between his poncho and everything, and actually Russell has the background right now. That look in the finale is kind of reminiscent of the original leader of the Knights of Ren that Ben Solo kills to become Kylo Ren and then go on to lead. Knights of Ren. So maybe he
kills old F Chimera.
Yeah, or maybe maybe Chimera is the founder of the Knights of Ren. He splits from Plagueis, or who knows, or Plagueis gets all up on with Osha and his forced procreation to breed Anakin or whatever.
That's gonna piss Kyle off if that's where it goes.
Yeah, I don't want that in season 2. But it would be interesting to at least have Chimera be the founder of the Knights of Ren. Be an offshoot dark side user versus a Sith. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Kyle, what
I was
about
going
you?
to say, I feel like the biggest issue with Star Wars in this era has been trying to go back and make Rise of Skywalker make sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, we lost John.
That has been like the biggest issue. I don't know. I guess
you don't have a favorite?
Darth Seductor.
I haven't heard that one. I like that.
That's all I got.
I like that.
I just made that one up.
That's a good one. I'm glad you made it.
The other ones were taken.
Russell, what about you, man? You're back, John. Good.
Darth Yacht or Darth Vince. No, you guys came up. Darth Thirst Trap. I like that one.
Darth Thirst Trap. Okay. What about you? What about you, Johnny? What's your favorite Darth?
Darth Thirst trap.
Is it thirst trap? Oh, John's frozen. That's a good freeze too.
Come on, man. It's the one I've been using. It's Darth Thirst Trap from beginning to end.
Yeah.
He's in water
right.
saying, can I get some, can I get my clothes if you're not going to come into the water with me?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Shoot. Can y'all hear me? Am I talking ridiculous over
No,
here?
you're good.
No,
Yeah, you're
we
good.
heard you. We heard you. That's a funny scene. That's a funny scene, by the way. That's almost as awkward, if not more awkward, than Rey staring at a shirtless Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Like, can you put a shirt on? But
No.
Star Wars has gotten thirsty in the last decade. Anyway, and maybe we need a little bit of sex, because although I thought Princess Leia and the bikini and the fact that George Lucas told her that
Can you get your boxy ass titties out of here? I'm trying to fucking use the floor.
Lucas told Carrie Fisher that they don't wear bras in space or something.
There's they don't wear underwear in space.
Yeah, exactly. So she's just all bouncing around. And the funny thing is, I didn't even notice that until I read that recently. And then I watched Star Wars again. I'm like, oh yeah, she's all loose in there, isn't she? So, but anyway, all right, fellas.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap this up. But I hope this is. I know it's hard for us all to get together again. Everybody's married, and some have kids. And well, Russell's not married yet, but he's married to his job, which I hope is going well. Russell, I always thought you'd be a good teacher. So, yeah, and you're taking all the kids' lingo by saying mid and stuff like that. So, so I get it. It's going to be hard for everybody to get together, but there's so much good nerdy stuff to talk about coming up, and I definitely want to get into Marvel. So hopefully we can do an Infinity Watch pod. And since I paid for the upgrade, it'd be nice to do it in the first month. And I might keep it, but
Deadpool Wolverine. I'd like to pod about that.
Yeah, we should because I did want to do a podcast on Fox Marvel movies. I think I talked about that with you guys at some point. But anyway, we're gonna get up out of here. Is John frozen again?
He might be. That's great. Everybody do their John face to go out.
Poor John. and then Kyle went to go check on Stellan again, it seems like. But we'll say goodbye here, and if we can't get those guys back, we'll just say goodbye for them. But anyway, I am Daniel Villalobos. This is Joshua Potter and Kyle Van and Russell Fung and John Hudson.
About that for sure.
You sound like you're underwater, John.
Oh, no.
Yes, I am Kyle Bound.
Oh my God! I mean Kyle McKay. Sorry, dude. It's crazy how long It's kind of crazy. It still says Kyle Bound on the screen, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, it does.
It's crazy to me, Kyle, that you and I have known each other for so long. Like we have known each other for so long now, and it's awesome because we have a great story. But we'll tell that on another pod. But anyway. So hopefully we'll be back soon talking Infinity Watch. I'm going to talk a little bit more to see if I can get John back because his screen is blank, and I want to say goodbye to everybody.
Are we vamping? Is that we're vamping? We're just vamping. We
might just have to go, yeah, because it's just gonna. I don't know if I can vamp that long.
We are vampires.
We are.
What kind of term comes from? What kind of vampire? I like the Colin Robinson energy vampire. I can make my voice be really, really great like this, and
why do I know what that is?
Suck the energy out of all of you. Just keep talking about random facts.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
So Star Wars.
All right, John's back.
Let me go into some Legends continuity about Star Wars and
before we lose John again.
Is that the NPR vampire?
Oh, we lost him already. He's frozen.
Gosh darn it! It's the vampire from What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know if you watched that, pal.
I haven't.
But you'd like it. You'd like it. Yes, John's back. All right, we're saying goodbye. Okay.
Good night, all.
Oh man. All right. I'm Daniel Villalobos, Joshua Potter, Kyle McKay, Russell Fung, John Hudson. This has been an Escape Pod. We'll see you guys next time. Love y'all.
Bye.
Adios.